Business Spotlight, brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.
I'm Sonia Farrell and welcome to Business Spotlight in partnership with Cross Rhythms City Radio and Baba Baboon. Joining me this week, we've got something a little bit different. We've got two separate businesses joining me in the studio who both launched in 2023. We've got May's Counselling Services, which was launched by Leanne Stanley, and Wendy Miller Coaching, which was launched by Wendy Miller herself. Hello ladies, how are we?
Hi, great. Are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
I'm good. How are you liking the Cross Rhythm studio?
It's gorgeous.
It's amazing. Love it.
Do you feel like you're in a spaceship?
It does look.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
really lovely.
It's good. Well, it's lovely to have you here, honestly, in the studio at Cross Rhythms. I'm going to start with you, Leanne. Mm-hmm. Now, Leanne, May's Counselling Services, like we mentioned, you started just last year in 2023 after a lengthy career in the NHS. Mm-hmm. So why did you decide to take the leap? And what is, in a nutshell, May's Counselling Services all about?
Okay, so I always wanted to set up my own private practice, and I think having the ability to see clients when you want, for as long as you want, was always quite important to me, because obviously the NHS has a certain model where it's 6 to 8 sessions.
Okay.
So it gives me the opportunity to work with clients at a more deeper level. So May's Counselling Services covers a whole host of presenting issues, anxiety, depression, addiction, grief, loss. I mainly specialise in the effects of narcissism, relationships and attachment. So private clients can come to me with a whole host of things, have a chat, see if we can work well together, and then access the services.
So Wendy Miller Coaching then, you're on a different sort of scale, opposite, I suppose, to Leanne, but do you just want to elaborate a little bit more about how you started your business?
Yes, so I was a teacher for over 20 years and I decided even though I loved the children, I loved the school I was at, I no longer wanted to do that role. I wasn't enjoying teaching, but I still wanted to work with the children and still wanted to help families. And so that's when I stepped away and I decided to become a children's coach. So now I support children and families by teaching them about how the brains work and how they think. So children get that understanding about themselves and they're able to develop confidence and self-awareness. And I support them to develop different skills and strategies that are going to be able to help them.
So just staying with you a minute, Wendy.
Yeah.
Working with children to say how the brain works. This is something, I'll be totally honest, which is something quite new. And quite, I'm intrigued by what you do, because what do you mean how the brain works, and how, what sort of processes do you do and what do you look for?
So I'm a Wise for My Size coach, and so the materials and the methodology behind it is all driven from stories. So it's a purposely written stories and materials that I use. And if we take worry, which is the most common topic that I support children around, I will introduce that topic with a story, so the children get to hear about a little boy called Alfie who's got this worry and he's not talking to anybody and it grows bigger and bigger in his body, and then he suddenly gets invited to tea with his gran, and his gran starts to talk to him about his worry, and his worry pops out and they interview this worry and they get to understand what's going on with this worry. So that's how I initially introduce the topics to the children, which is a really powerful way for the children to get to understand the thing that they might be experiencing, but it's in an engaging and in a non-threatening way. And then once we've done that, we talk around the things that have been introduced in that story. So with worry, I will talk to the children about, right, so how does worry feel in your body? Where does it appear? And then I will talk to them about why it is that we do worry, that it's a natural reaction that we all have in our brains. And it's quite mind-blowing, because I talk to the children about worry actually being there to help us. It's like warning us, like, hang on, we're going to be doing something new, just need to be careful. And so rather than it being this horrible, nasty thing that's holding us back, it's something that's there to support us and help us. And then I talk about, again, the brain popping up with all of these different what if thoughts that we have, and naturally it's the negative what if thoughts, and again it's our brain trying to protect us, and it's normalizing all of these feelings for the children. They're understanding what's happening, and then I can give them strategies to be able to turn those around, to flip it over to positive what if thoughts. So instead of thinking, what if I get it wrong, what if I don't like it, they're thinking, what if I do brilliantly? What if I really enjoy it? And so the worry turns to excitement. And so that's the kind of thing that I talk to children about.
Very interesting. And that storytelling, there is so much power, I believe, in storytelling in all different ways in which it can help people, whether it's with confidence, relationships, connections and all that. But for you, Leanne, as well, you work with adults.
Yes.
And as Wendy was just talking about there, that worry and that feeling and those questions, those what ifs, those doubts as well. I mean, for you in the line of work that you do, do you experience similar with clients who come to you and how you sort of have your processes?
Yeah, I mean, I'm, it's a technical term, but I'm a psychodynamic counsellor. So we look at history in the present. So a lot of anxiety, depression, low mood can actually start quite way back. Without people realising it creeps up and gets, like Wendy said, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it can become quite debilitating and also lead to burnout in work. So most people don't recognise the signs until it's a little bit too late. So it's monitoring how they're feeling and having that good support system around them to help them navigate things. So it's not about just identifying it in the counselling room. It's about getting that support network outside of the counselling room to make sure that they stay on whichever path they want to.
And the two of you, like we said, you're both separate businesses. May's Counselling Services, Wendy Miller Coaching, Wendy working with children and you with adults. But the two of you, do you have sort of, where you can help each other, where you can almost collaborate in the line of work that you do within the local area?
Yep, we do a lot of collaboration. So we support whole families. So we will refer people to each other. So I might be working with a child and the parent might need some support, so I can signpost them to Leanne, and likewise Leanne will signpost parents to me so I can support the children. So
and we also go into businesses. Because if someone at work has got problems at home, Wendy steps in. And then if they've got something that they are worrying about or struggling with themselves, then I can help out. And obviously that impacts positively the working environment. So it's always a positive for the business to look after their staff's well-being and health, but obviously looking at it as, let's look at the adult in the workplace, but then if there is family issues going on, then Wendy can step in too.
So just going on to that then, whether it's people in the workplace, we're a business, like you say, focusing on a well-being sort of area. How would somebody sort of, or what are the signs that somebody would look for to then think, I need to speak to Leanne?
Yes. For me, a lot of people get stuck in a low mood or feel like they're lost, feel like they're alone, feel like everything's too much, very overwhelmed. They normally find that it's because of work. They think it's a work issue. It can be, but it normally can come from home. So it's identifying themselves when they need to. It's not like you just wake up one day and go, oh, I want to see a counsellor. It isn't. It's normally there's a need for it. So then it's having the appropriate support and the contact, knowing where they can find me to access counselling. And I'm very much one size doesn't fit all in anything. So I don't, when someone comes to me and says, can I see counselling, I would prefer them to go and speak to a few. Because if you don't connect with that counsellor, you're not going to get the best out of the journey. And then if they then come back and say that they want to work with me, then we work together and have a deep dive into everything and see exactly what's going on and where it's going on to try and support them, make the connections to move forward to brighter self, really.
And same for you then, Wendy, whether it's a school or a parent, what are the sort of signs there, with the work that you do where you think, oh, you could come in and actually help? It must be, I imagine, I can't speak for myself or any experience myself, but I imagine it could be quite daunting and quite scary.
Yes, it's about seeing children that are holding back in a way. So they're not able to do the things that they want to do. It might be that they're over anxious about something, or they don't believe in themselves, or they aren't able to relate to other people. So there are different signs showing that they've got that low self-worth, or they don't have that confidence in themselves. I do work with different schools as well, supporting them with different times of year, or I do work on a one-to-one basis, or small group work, and that can be around anything really, but it's interesting going in and supporting the children around transition or exams, and supporting them around the mindset of that, and helping them to understand that it's not this big scary thing again, and helping them to understand what is going on there, and giving them the skills and strategies to push forward and feel better about themselves in those situations.
And I suppose, just talking about, you go into businesses as well. Now, you two ladies, you started your own businesses just last year, and, you've gone on, you're obviously doing really well, you're thriving. But when you say, if you go in and speak to a business and you can identify, I suppose, even certain worries, whether it's a business owner, perhaps, from your perspective now, being in business, you're not working for anybody else, you're doing it for yourself. How's it been? Seriously. How's it been? We're all friends here.
So for years, as a teacher, I always saw myself as just a teacher. And I felt kind of locked in that profession in the way, thinking, I don't know any different, I'm just a teacher. And it was only when I started my journey out of teaching where I kind of gained that confidence in myself and saw different possibilities that I could do. And primarily, originally, I saw myself setting up in business. When I left the classroom, I didn't envisage this. I thought I would go and find a different job, not setting up on my own. But I wanted to be able to go and help children and families. And so I trained to be a coach. And then I found myself running a business. And it's not what I imagined at all. It's not the reason why I'm here, really, not to be a business owner and to be doing all of that. But it's amazing. I love being in control of my own destiny, and being able to help these people, and to just be able to push the business where I want it to go, and be able to do what I want to do. So yeah.
Lovely. And you, Leanne?
I think when I started, I think with most business owners, you think that you can do everything, and you quickly learn you can't. I called it networking like a ninja, didn't I? I did that for quite a few months until I was like, what am I doing? I need to find exactly where my tribe is. I need to focus my attention on that. So I cut everything right back. I found just a few networking places that I enjoyed being with and around, and who were supportive. And then I think it's also not saying no to strange opportunities, because you don't know where they're going to go.
I know that feeling.
I had a very weird conversation a couple of weeks ago, didn't I? And I ended up being working on an Imperial College of London presentation for something that's going to change the face of addiction in the next 20 years, and I still don't know how that happened. But yeah, I think it's about knowing yourself, sticking to your boundaries, seeking help. That's really important, because we can't do it all, and especially when we have families ourselves, it's trying to make sure we're juggling with the business positively, but also not forgetting ourselves and our families. I think that's really important.
100%. And when you mention there, opportunities, and you might find yourself being approached or doing things which you're like, where has this come from? And sometimes you can be quite scared and overwhelmed about that. But like you just mentioned, you never know where those opportunities are going to take you. Yeah. And just to expand on that, how do you feel about the opportunities now for women in business?
I think there's lots. I think from looking at my career back in banking and advertising way back when, to the opportunities now, I I think we've discussed before, between myself and Wendy, we've had great support from the Staffordshire Growth Hub, their Start and Grow scheme, and they help so much. And when I started my business, had no idea any of that existed. So going to networking and finding out that I can get support off other women, I can get support from the council, different businesses, and it takes you on a different path, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I think there is a lot more about empowering women in business, and I think it's really important for the future.
And there are lots of different networking events and groups that are purely for women, and there's something really empowering about that, about being in a room full of other female business owners and just kind of knowing you've got each other's backs. And as I first started out, I felt quite isolated and alone, and so it's been invaluable to be able to connect with different women and kind of finding my colleagues and my tribe, and my work wife.
Yes, we know work wives.
Work wives, I love that.
And so, yeah, it's been really important for me, and it's really helped me with my business.
Brilliant. And before you go, just one last quick question. What is the future, Leanne? What's coming next? What's exciting?
I actually signed a lease yesterday for my own premises. So that's very exciting. I'm going to be based at Lulworth House on the High Street in Cheadle, which is the old police station. And I'm very excited about how that's going to grow and establish. Very exciting times.
Well done.
Thank you.
Wendy?
So at the moment, I'm doing lots of support with children that are facing difficulties, and I want to be able to change the message to get parents and schools and people to understand that what I'm offering is really positive, building that self-awareness and that confidence in children, and giving children those skills before there is a problem will help them in the future. So I want to be able to go out there and to be able to support those children in a good way, in that positive way, before anything does ever arise. So that's my mission.
Ladies, thank you so much for coming into the studios here at Cross Rhythms. It's been an absolute joy to share your story and learn more about the fascinating things that you both do. So thank you. That's Leanne Stanley, Maze Counselling Services, and Wendy Miller of Wendy Miller Coaching here on Business Spotlight with me, Sonia Farrell, in partnership with Cross Rhythms City Radio and Baba Baboon.
Business Spotlight, shining a light on our local business community. Brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.